up, you guys? Welcome back to our channel. We changed our name to Red Bull Coffee and Crime. And we have Arctic Fox True Crime on panel.
Yes, ma'am. And it's an appropriate name change because neither of us that are usually here can function until we have our caffeine.
Right? Like I was just saying I was gonna be late because I had to go to the store and buy a Red Bull. And then, it's hard to say our name. Like when people are like I'm commenting on videos, people are like, how do you say that? Like what is what is it? So we're just like, let's change it. Let's change everything around. But you guys, we are talking about a case that is really close to home. This has always this case is just horrible. It's disgusting. The torture, the abuse that this child went through is just horrific. His name is Terrell Peterson. He was born March 1st, 1992. He was a 5-year-old boy from Atlanta, Georgia, this happened like 20 minutes from where I live. It's another CPS failure. We get these all the time. He was tortured and beaten to death while his case was under active state supervision. And he was one of more than 800 children who died between 1995 and 1998 after their cases were brought to the attention of DHS, which is, it's the Georgia Department of Human Services, or it's DFACS down here, DFCS. So that's a lot of children that died in that time period under their supervision. Like, I never even knew that. Good morning, Sixth Sense. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you were able to wake up.
It's a horrible case, and I think probably the saddest part of all of this, aside from all the corruption within the DCFS, is that we only have one photograph of Terrell, and that's one that was taken while he was in a hospital emergency room.
Yeah, they only have one picture. And I felt so bad putting it on there because I wish there was more. I wish that we could see when he was alive and at least if he ever had a happy time in his life. How can there only be one picture of a child? It's like that one case, I forgot. It was a baby that died, and the baby was like 6 months old, and they only had one picture, and it was when she was dead. The cops actually went back and like edited and tried to make it look, as best as they could, just so people could have a picture of her. I forgot what it was, but it's so sad. It is really sad. So Terrell Peterson, there was a lot of calls between 1992 and 1995 in reference to neglect of Terrell and his siblings. There was a call May 1992. The mother is taking drugs while pregnant, using food stamps and welfare checks to buy crack cocaine. August 1993, parents are locking the children in the bedroom on the weekends, denying them food and water. February 1994, mother is on drugs and the children are unsupervised. January 1995, children were begging neighbors for food, and the mother is using cocaine daily. November 1995, mother is addicted to crack, and so that's when she leaves the children with their sick maternal grandmother. The complaints were handled by 11 different caseworkers overseen by 10 supervisors at the Georgia Department of Family and Children's Services. Nothing was done until June 1996, when the department took custody of Terrell from his mother. According to protocol, children taken into custody by CPS should ideally be placed with blood relatives and receive at least one in-person visit with an agency caseworker per month. In no circumstances is corporal punishment to be administered by foster care. So Terrell, he was placed in the care of Farina. I can't say her name. Farina Peterson, which was the grandmother of Terrell's half-brother, Tommy, and half-sister, Tasha. And they were not directly related to him. While in her custody, agency caseworkers had little to no contact with Terrell. And there was not even monthly visits. So they just hand him over. They don't check on him. They don't call and see how he's doing. They don't visit, you know. What kind of shit is that? So the case really came to light when Terrell was brought to an emergency room of Hughes Spalding Children's Hospital in Atlanta. He was in cardiac arrest, and that is when he died. So, this case is so hard to talk about.
It's terrible. I mean, the poor kid's literally tied up with pantyhose on a regular basis, and then they find a to-do list for how to take care of this kid, where all he gets is a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast. He gets some grits at lunch and some grits at dinner. His hands are always tied, and his teachers literally found him rummaging through trash cans looking for food because he wasn't getting any nourishment at home. He had actually been diagnosed with battered child syndrome.
Yeah, it's disgusting. You guys, they ended up taking off his shoes at one point, and they found that the bottom of his feet were burned. Like the skin was just burned off. And the grandmother did that because I can't remember if it was because it was for telling authorities about her previous assaults. So, you know, he tells somebody or somebody tells somebody about what's going on and nothing's done about it. So the grandmother decides to burn both of his feet, the bottoms of it, just for punishment. The burns were severe enough to necessitate skin grafts. You've heard Terrell's name, but not familiar with his story. Yeah, it happened a while ago, but it's definitely a case that should be spoken about because, once again, it's where CPS does not do their job. If they would have done their job, this would have
absolutely
never happened.
We're seeing this case after case after case, and this Farina Peterson, she gets booked on misdemeanor charges. So apparently Terrell had implicated her on the record as assaulting him before. She was scheduled to testify, or he was scheduled to testify at trial against Farina. Well, obviously, after he passes away, he can't testify. So the caseworker, Cheryl Elmore, who was responsible for bringing Terrell to court, she didn't even bother to show up in Terrell's absence. And so her absence was never even questioned. And the charges were dismissed by the judge because the victim wasn't in court.
Yep.
And get this, because of her stupid transgressions and stuff, she tried to cover everything up. She took a fraudulent, backdated internal memo in Terrell's file
Yes.
and says that the trial did occur and no evidence of child abuse was ever found, and the charges were dismissed as a result. She went so far as to say that the judge believed Miss Peterson and did not feel she was guilty of child abuse.
Yeah,
And there was overwhelming medical evidence, and there were results of police investigations along with court documents and everything else. So this is just crazy, you know.
It is. I mean, how did they not visit until January 1998, on the 15th, and that's when he was murdered. Like, that's the only time that they saw him, if I'm understanding correctly.
Because I mean, Head Start had made people aware of the injuries and everything that was going on, and despite the severity of the injuries, no investigation was really done or charges brought. And Terrell was never visited by anyone from Child Services from the time of these injuries until his murder a year later. And the coroner listed his death, the cause of it, as blunt impact injuries to the head, trunk, and extremities. And eventually, this resulted in Fran Peterson being charged with capital murder.
Oh my God. So also another social worker decided it was safe to keep Terrell's half siblings with Miss Peterson after Terrell's murder. So his siblings were kept with Miss Peterson, and that is the grandma or the aunt, because both of them were involved. Hold on, let me see. No, I think that was the aunt. Yeah, that was the aunt. So the social worker decided that it was safe to keep Terrell's half siblings with, I think it's the aunt, after his murder. So they were living with her, and she had a lot to do with the abuse. Let me look. I just can't. I am trying to get the exact names of who and what. Oh, you guys, when he died, he only weighed 29 pounds, and he was covered with cuts, bruises, and cigarette burns. There was way more abuse than that. Why can't I find the name? And the whole cover-up. Like, they just did a whole cover-up just to save their asses. These people, I don't even know if they lost their jobs or not. I wish I did. Have you seen anything about that?
I haven't.
Okay, yeah. Farina Peterson, that's the grandmother, received a life sentence for his murder. December 2002, Terry Lynn Peterson, the victim's aunt, was found guilty of his murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. Ralph Mitchell, the official who engaged in a cover-up of the case and wrote the phony press release, retired with a state pension. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, there was a huge internal cover-up in the case. I mean, after 2 internal investigations into Terrell's case, Georgia DCFS reported failure to make contacts and failure to conduct mandatory monthly meetings and a serious lack of judgment after numerous violations throughout the history of the case. But the public was never made aware of these findings upon completion of the investigation, and department officials engaged in an illicit cover-up. The department only made one public statement, which was written by Ralph Mitchell, the administrator of the Atlanta area office, where he claimed that members of the agency expressed outrage at the loss of a precious life, but that they had responded immediately and comprehensively, which is complete bullshit, to the allegations of Terrell's abuse. The statement further claimed that the department had followed protocol, saying all of its steps were followed in the case of Terrell. Soon after, Mitchell wrote a private memo to the department at state headquarters stating that the press release was untrue. He also commented that it was unfortunate no one in the media had called to follow up after the public statement. But due to state privacy laws, Terrell's records were sealed and they were inaccessible to the media, rendering the cover-up undetectable. The tampering began to come to light a year later when Don Keenan received Terrell's case file by an anonymous individual within the department. Despite the murder of Terrell, the complicity in his murder through willful neglect of workers at the Georgia Department of Family Services and the exposed cover-up by high department officials, another caseworker determined that Terrell's half-sister and half-brother, who were both present at his murder, would be safe with Frank Peterson. This unidentified caseworker said as follows: Miss Peterson will cooperate with the agency and continue to show interest in support of the child while they're at home.
Oh my God.
It's absolutely absurd, guys.
It is absurd. I think we need to look into where they are now. Like, if I never looked into his siblings. I would like to know what happened, after that, if they were okay, if anything else happened. Sound quality is fluctuating at Arctic Fox True Crime. Can still hear you, just letting you know. Oh, I can hear him. You can't. Arctic, talk real quick.
Yeah. It may be my mic. It may be acting up a little bit, but I'm gonna work on seeing if I can adjust it some.
So Catherine E. Maliki, who dismissed the charges against Farina Peterson, because Terrell was not brought to court. She remained a judge in Atlanta, and she retired in 2010. All these people just got away with this horrific cover-up, this horrific crime. This poor 5-year-old boy. I mean, and he didn't have to die. No children should have to die. If they're under state protective watch, and there was a lawsuit actually on his behalf. Georgia Child Protective Services workers and their supervisors had ample opportunities, yet recklessly failed to prevent the death of Terrell, who was beaten and nearly starved to death last year. The firm's lawsuit, to be filed in Fulton County State Court, demands a series of changes in the state's handling of abused and neglected children. Terrell died January 15th, 1998, after various people made 8 separate reports to the Fulton County Department of Family and Children's Services alleging maltreatment of Terrell or his siblings, his grandmother, his aunt, and his aunt's boyfriend. Oh, see, I never knew about the aunt's boyfriend. They were due to go to trial. So the district attorney, Paul Howard, called this one of the most horrific cases of child abuse ever seen in Fulton County. But at the heart of the evil of the civil case is what the law firm calls repeated and countless cases of governmental neglect that contributed not only to Terrell's death, but to the death of countless other Georgia children.
Terrell was like one of 800 kids that died during this time frame. So.
Yeah, he was one out of 800. So last year, Georgia investigated 47,000 reports of child abuse and neglect. That is a lot. And I wonder how many of those children they failed. State officials who have anticipated the Keenan lawsuit said the state attorney general has advised them not to comment on the case. He sued to challenge the department policies before, said the lawsuit seeks to create a state abundance office that would make sure that Georgia's Child Protection Services Agency follows the law and protects children. I firmly believe this case will outline abuses that will outrage the general public, business community, and politicians enough for that once they will allocate the necessary funds and resources for the future of our children. I'm trying to see where it says what happened with it. He said this is not about money. It's about changing the system. Terrell's family came to the attention of child welfare workers in 1991. During the next 4 years, state records show... Okay, we went through that.
And sadly, no one in the DCFS even got terminated over this shit. They were just allowed to continue on with their lives like nothing had ever happened.
Yeah, and then they got pension. Like they left and they got paid. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, the lawsuit lists 21 violations, including the caseworker's failure to appear in court, the failure to monitor complaints, and the alleged falsification of records regarding visits to Terrell's home. It also charges the state with covering up the highest levels by publicly announcing that state and local investigation had cleared them of any wrongdoing. More than 10 years ago, Keenan sued the same agency after 3-year-old Kathy Jo Taylor was beaten into an irreversible coma while in foster home. In 1989, a consent decree in federal court required sweeping changes in the state's foster care system. Changes Keenan says have never been enforced. Among them, the court banned the use of corporal punishment in foster care, required caseworkers to make every effort to place children with relatives when they had to be removed from their home, and demanded that caseworkers make a face-to-face visit with foster children at least once a month. Those 3 things were the hallmark of Kathy Jo's case, any one of which would have saved Kathy Jo, any one of which would have saved Terrell. So, yeah, they need to... I thought they were supposed to do that. I thought that their jobs are to go and check, even if the kids are in foster care. Aren't they supposed to be checking on?
They're supposed to do home visits. They are. But the thing is a lot of times they won't even make entry into the home. They'll go to the house, they'll talk with the foster parent or whatever, and they'll say, how's things going? How's everything? Are there any issues? Blah, blah, blah. But they should be going in these homes, and they should be doing inspections on them on a regular basis. That is per their own rules and regulations.
Yes. They need to demand to, and I think that they have the right to speak to a child. They do, because I've seen cases, CPS workers should take a child away from the abusers or away from whoever they're with and speak to them. I mean, some will still be scared to speak out, but it doesn't hurt to try. They need to do better. This is a comprehensive and well put together discussion. Great job. Thank you, Sixth Sense. We, I just told them about this case yesterday, and we just kind of put it together. But, I've been known about this for a long time, and it popped up in my mind yesterday. I was like, I used to look this up. I used to watch other YouTubers. I think only one other creator has done this before, on a video on him. But it's definitely really close to me. So I was like, we need to, speak about this. Let me see. Panel to seek ways. Okay, so throwing out evidence in case against Terrell's kin called fair.
So in the wake of all of this, CBS 60 Minutes did an in-depth investigation into the aspects of the case and aired the results in January of '99. And in the wake of that investigation, Governor Roy Barnes decided to set up the Child Abuse Advocate Office with the authority to bypass the state's confidentiality laws and independently investigate and review child abuse cases handled by DCFS. Terrell's half-brother and sister were placed with another foster family, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation conducted raids on several offices of DCFS. Ultimately, the Georgia legislature passed the Terrell Peterson Act, and that gives doctors the authority to take temporary custody of battered children at the hospital without approval of DCFS.
Wow. So now if a child is brought in, they don't have to have permission to take them out?
That's what this law states. It says that the let's see here, gives doctors the authority to take temporary custody of battered children at the hospital without department approval.
It's not only there. A couple of years ago here, CPS removed children, and they were fostered, adopted overseas. No paper trail. Oh God. That's scary. We don't know what they're doing with these kids. So I found something. So a DHR chief actually came out, like a high-ranking state official has taken responsibility for failing to prevent the abuse of 5-year-old Terrell Peterson. I think we failed this child. No shit, dumbass, said Audrey Horne, Secretary of the State Department of Human Resources. Looking at all the places we could have helped him, I say we failed him. What do you say, Arctic?
I mean, even Stevie Wonder can see the failures in this.
Horne's comment made an interview following a legislative hearing into her agency's budget represents the strongest statement of official remorse since Terrell's death in January 1998. It came as she asked legislators for more money to protect other children. 8 reports have been made to the DFCS and Children's Services alleging that Terrell or siblings were being... Okay, we went over that. So now the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is investigating the deaths of 13 children under DFAC supervision. Government Roy Barnes is seeking $26 million. Yeah, we're just going over all the same. I'm trying to go back because I remember reading a long time ago, there was way more on what abuse was occurring. Like, we named a lot, but there was so much more. And I had it.
What is truly sad about all this is that you guys have to remember this happened back in 1998. And here we are, we're in 2022, and we're still seeing cases where these children are failed by a DCFS. Harmony Montgomery, Cody Bigsby, Oakley Carlson, and the list goes on and on and on. And the reason why we're continuing to see this is that different states have rules and regulations regarding their DCFS, TPS, whatever they want to call it in whatever state. They can't even decide on a name across the board for it. And then a lot of the rules and regulations for these programs they really haven't been updated since the 1960s. And then, of course, you have the cover-ups that take place in cases such as Terrell's, that thank God a whistleblower came out and brought all the cover-ups to light in his case. But how many cases is this shit going on that we don't hear anything about because no whistleblowers come forward?
Yeah, I mean, 800, like 800 of those children, were died. They died, and how do we figure out what their names are? How did they die? Like, I would like to know those 800 out of that short amount of time. What happened? Like, who was involved? Did they just, I mean, obviously they covered all that shit up too, you know? Hold on. So they also beat him with a telephone cord. I don't know if you said that. They would beat him with a telephone cord. Okay, so some stuff got thrown out because Griffey, like a detective or whatever, he went into the apartment and seized items without a warrant. If they can't use the items at trial, Fulton prosecutors have said their case may be gutted. So he went there. He didn't have a warrant, but I don't think you should have a warrant in this type of thing. A kid dies and you can see him burned. You can see him burned by cigarettes. You can see his feet are burned off, but you have to obtain a warrant to go and enter an apartment where it happened at. I mean, I understand this laws. I understand whatever, but
it's a slippery slope if you start letting people go in with no warrant at all, then, but that should also fall under probable cause too. So.
Oh wow, hold on. Peterson told Griff that Terrell had recently stayed with a niece of hers and returned home with fresh injuries. She also said that many of Terrell's wounds had been self-inflicted. Griffey arrested her on the spot, charging her with cruelty to children for not reporting the injuries. He then headed to Peterson's apartment on Layla Lane. Upon arrival, Griffey encountered 3 uniformed officers on the apartment's first floor, keeping the place secure because Terrell's sister and brother were asleep upstairs and no adults were present. Peterson's boyfriend, Calvin Pittman, who also lived in the apartment, had been taken in for questioning. Yeah, he needed to be freaking charged as well. At a pre-trial hearing, Griffey testified that when he went upstairs to ask the children whether there were any relatives they could stay with, that was where they saw 3 notes taped to the bedroom doors. One note read, "Terrell's list, bad. Make sure he gets a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast. Lunch, he gets grits. And dinner, he gets grits. His hands always tied." Griff looked across the hall and saw pantyhose on the stairway railing. Terrell's 11-year-old sister told the detective the hose was used to tie Terrell to the banister. Griffey then saw the 3-foot phone cord and belt that prosecutors say they were used to beat Terrell. Griff immediately had these items photographed and seized. So they write a list for Terrell. And also they had his siblings. This isn't on here, but they had his siblings also tying him up. And they're teaching them to be who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see this in a lot of cases where parents will turn their children on each other and make one out to be good because, oh, he's going to help me abuse my other son and do all this stuff that I tell him to do. It's sickening. It's sad. These poor kids. Hey, Sarah. This is a topic that people are becoming more aware of. Thank you ever so much at Red Bull Coffee and Crime, Arctic Fox. It's really difficult, but we must face it. And I agree. I don't think we could do anything unless we have so many people decide, hey, we all need to make a stand. How could we ask so many people in the world to take a day? What if we just took a day, right? And we didn't go to work. We didn't do what we had to do. We went and we demanded changes. Sorry, my voice. In order to make a change, we all have to come together. And I feel like that is never going to work. And it's people like us that are trying our hardest, but we need other people on board as well. Sarah, I would share to my groups, but I'm in Facebook jail. Oh, it's probably because of all that other stuff. Children have no autonomous
rights
under the law.
Chattels, property of the parents and the caregivers, and that's basically true. I mean, it's sad. It is sad, and in a lot of these cases, the children's voices really don't account for much. We've seen it time and time again, and I've seen it in cases where even when the child's given a guardian ad litem, which is someone that is supposed to be their voice to speak for what's in their best interest and everything, the guardian ad litem's recommendations get completely ignored. So why even bother to appoint one if you're going to ignore the recommendations of the guardian ad litem?
Yeah, why? I mean, is it for money? Because I know for a guardian ad litem, like at one point I had to pay, I think it was $400. The other side had to pay $400. But if they're not going to take their advice, then I agree. What is the point of having them? There's no point. What do you have them go and check houses and check all of this stuff if you're just going to make your own decision? Hold on. Trying to read this. And 6 Cents, you asked if we had links. I will, after we get off here, I will post them for you. You can also Google Terrell Peterson, and you guys, not a lot, but a lot of articles will come up, but there's not really, like Arctic said, this happened a long time ago, in the 90s, and it was a big cover up. So not a lot of stuff is really out there. It's just the same stuff repeated over and over. Like that picture, that's the only picture. And I think the mom as well. Do you think the mom visited him at any time?
I don't.
You don't think because of the drugs and stuff, right?
She did. I think that she just ignored everything that was going on. Everyone failed this child. Everyone failed this child. His siblings, his grandmother, his aunt, his mother, everyone that was supposed to be there, and especially DCFS, failed this kid. And in the end, we end up with a child that dies of cardiac arrest. And it's devastating. And we're seeing, like I said, nothing has changed. We're seeing these cases to this day that these children end up going missing, dying, because of the clusterfuck that is the system that we currently have.
I definitely agree with you. I wish that we could make a change. Just the very few people that we work with and we know, that would be interested and willing to start something to make a change. But
Well, it's like I've said on several of my broadcasts, until people come together, and then this isn't political, but you've got to stop voting party lines, because right now our political system is just a big cock waving contest. When the Democrats try to do something, the Republicans block them, and when the Republicans try to do something, the Democrats block them. So you've got to stop voting party lines and start voting for who you think is actually going to work in the best interest of yourself and these kids, because
mhm.
that's what it's going to take. Voting straight party lines because your daddy always voted Republican or your daddy always voted Democrat is like not doing any research when you go to buy a car and buying a Ford because your daddy always bought a Ford.
Um so I'm not very literate, dyslexia, listening to um my screen is cracked, so a comprehensive explanation is a lot better for me to digest and understand. I appreciate this deep dive very much. Thank you both. Thank you, Six Sense, for always supporting us. I have the same problem, but like I have ADD, so my mind, I know what I want to say and I know what words I want to use, but sometimes it doesn't come out right. And I'm glad that Arctic is very, very, very smart. It's so he'll pop in and I'm like, yes, that's what I meant. Like, but I try to get the story out there as best as I can. And I'm very new at this, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. And I like listening to other people explain as well, other than me having to read and my mind just is everywhere. I do want to. Did I see? I can't even remember if I read this. Did I read that Terrell's aunt denies the role in death and blames her niece?
No, I don't think you did that.
Okay, so Saturday, December 14th, 2002, Terry Lynn Peterson told jurors Friday that she didn't batter, she didn't starve or murder her 5-year-old nephew. She just watched. For the first time Friday, Peterson implicated her niece, Tasha, in the infamous 1998 death of Terrell Peterson. Terry Peterson, a nursing aide, dropped the bombshell. Oh my God, so Terry was also a fucking nursing aide. Ugh. Dropped the bombshell testifying in her murder trial. She said that she came home from work on the night of January 15th, 1998, and found 11-year-old Tasha beating Terrell with a plastic clothes hanger. Shortly afterward, Terrell collapsed, and an ambulance took him to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead from cardiac arrest around 11 p.m. According to hospital records that documented a separate abuse report in November 1996, Peterson said she stayed mum about Tasha because she suspected the young girl possibly delivered the death blow. Her
Wow.
mom, Farina Peterson, was also too heavy with the lash. Oh, she was too heavy with it. Maybe you shouldn't have frickin' used anything, you dumb fucking... Oh my God. Terry Peterson said, but she covered up for her mother. Farina Peterson is serving a life sentence for death. So Terry Peterson was confronted by the prosecutor, David Cook, and with pictures. He said, tell the jury what you did to help, Cook said. And she said, my mother was the primary caretaker, said Peterson. Those whose defense is that she was not legally required to take care of Terrell. Cook's voice boomed. What did you do to help? There was nothing I could do, muttered Peterson, who leaned back into the witness chair in her flowing marine blue outfit. How did it make you feel to watch your nephew starve to death in front of you? Cook asked. My mother was the primary caretaker, Peterson said. When I was around, he usually had clothes on. Cook paused. So you just didn't notice? I didn't notice my nephew was dying, Peterson said. Defendant blames niece. Cook held up a photograph of a shrunken and scared body. So you're telling the jury you couldn't look at him until he was dying? No, Peterson said. Peterson, who is to continue testifying Monday, had glared at Tasha, now 16 years old, on Wednesday and Thursday. Tasha testified that her aunt forced Terrell, who once had a third-degree burn on his heel, to stand on a heating grate barefoot, kept him tied up, force-fed him feces. Tasha said her grandmother and aunt fed Terrell, we already said this, an oatmeal diet, barley, and water, while everybody else had meat, vegetables. Tasha lied, said Peterson, who testified she fixed Terrell fried chicken the day he died. The aunt described cleaning the young. She probably fried chicken, but for them, nobody was giving fried chicken to this poor child that was dying right in front of them. No, but they tied him up and made him eat frickin' his own shit. The aunt described cleaning the young boy's womb with a warm cloth. She said then fixed Terrell a light night snack of oatmeal. And shortly later heard him fall. She found Terrell trembling in a seizure and biting his lower lip. She told her boyfriend to call an ambulance. She said she performed CPR mouth to mouth to try to save his life. When she got to Hughes Spalding Hospital, a doctor told her Terrell had died. I started crying, she said. So in June 1996, social workers placed Tasha. Oh, we already said that. So the niece is saying that she had nothing to do with this, that she had no idea that this abuse was happening, or the boyfriend. You live in the same fucking house. You have to know what the fuck is going on. You see these things tied up. You're telling, oh God, please. I can't. How are these people fucking born? How are these people living? You know, and I don't understand. I'm so sickened. I am so just fed up with our system. And so was the niece ever charged?
Not that I'm aware of. And Sixth Sense, no, it's not an ongoing case. Like I said, it did result in some laws coming to light, like the doctors being able to take custody of a child without having to get approval from the department, which makes sense. I mean, if an abused child comes in, they should be able to make that call. And hopefully, there have been some lives saved due to that law being passed. But there's a lot of laws that do need to be changed. And if they would just follow the rules and regulations that they have in place today, it would make a huge difference. So when these kids get placed with foster parents, regardless of whether it's from outside the family or within, they should have to follow the same rules and regulations that I would if I was fostering a kid. So there's supposed to be mandatory visits. They're supposed to make entry into these homes. They're supposed to go in and make sure there's food for these kids, that there's bedding for these kids, that each kid has a certain amount of living space, that there's no dangers posed to these kids. In fact, when my husband and I were looking at fostering, we had to make sure we had fire alarms and smoke extinguishers within the house. We had to
Mm-hmm.
have a fire escape ladder because we were in an upstairs apartment. So we had to have a fire escape ladder so they could get out of their bedroom if a fire occurred. We had to keep our medications and our knives locked up. So, they should be going in and making sure all this stuff is taking place. And on the same note, since they are so die hard about reunifying these kids with parents, then those parents should have to go through the same process that the fosters have to go through in order to get their kids back. They should have to have the same rules in place, everything locked up, the medications, the fire extinguisher, everything. They have to follow the same thing to get their kids back.
I definitely agree. And it should definitely not be a one time, oh, let's go check. Oh, you guys have this? Oh, okay. That's it. Um, Hold on. I found an interview with the mom, I think. Even though she's a piece of freaking garbage too, but hold on. Where did it go? 6 said laws are a toothless dog if they're not upheld.
Exactly. Exactly. And here's the thing, too, is that part of the issue is you have so many people. It's not a factor in this particular case, but it is in a lot of cases, that so many people become foster parents for the wrong reasons. They're not in it about the child at all. The only reason they're doing it is to supplement their income with what they get from DCFS.
Yes.
That money is supposed to go for the care of the child, but in so many cases it doesn't. Um, these foster kids get treated as second class citizens. They don't get to go on the vacations with these families and stuff. Here's the deal. If I was fostering a child, that child would get treated no different than my blood child,
Yeah.
because that is the parent in foster parent. You are that child's parent. You are supposed to give that child the love and attention and nurturing that child has never had previously in its life.
You're definitely right. And I think you would be an amazing candidate for that. We need good people that can take on these kids and that can give them love and to make sure they're safe.
Well, and we have children right now that are sleeping in DCFS offices, and part of the reason for that is that I agree that there needs to be strong rules and regulations for these kids to go to good homes. But when you find good homes for these kids, a lot of times DCFS discriminates. They discriminate against same-sex couples from taking in
Mm-hmm.
these kids and stuff. I've heard of cases where they've discriminated, like in my mind just blanked on me. In Garnett's case,
Yeah.
she wanted to take in Orion and everything, and that tragedy could have been prevented, but they said she was too sick to take care of her grandchild. So
Mm-hmm.
the discrimination factor has to stop, because so many kids are missing out on good homes in the process.
Exactly. I definitely agree. Six Sun said, I was a foster. Oh, it feels a bit weird being in a live stream and only reading myself. There's some people watching, but they're not reading. But Six Sense, we always appreciate your support and we love communicating with people that come on and comment. So we really appreciate it. I was a foster kid who was made a ward of state at age 11. How was that experience? I know it's personal, but could you kind of tell us, like, was it a good experience? Street people took better care of me than any of these services did.
And shockingly, that doesn't come as much of a surprise.
Yeah.
We also need to make the adoption process in this country much easier than what it is. Not necessarily easier, but less expensive. So that if you do get discriminated against by the system, you can go through some of these independent adoption agencies and not have to file bankruptcy in the process.
Mm-hmm. Um, okay, I lost it, but I don't care what the mom has to say anyway. She's a piece of shit. There is a story that's connected to Terrell's that's down here, and it kind of is just like his. Um, I'll send it to you later on. It's something we should look at. Um, so her name is Amani Moss. Gwinnett County, too, is only about 10 minutes from me. And this is really horrible, but we'll save that for a different show. I just got here. I will chat as I can. Still working. Hey, Moon. I haven't talked to you in a while. I hope everything's okay. I'm glad you're here. Please, everybody, give the video a thumbs up. This is a very hard case. There's not a lot of information out on it, as we have said before, but we have told you guys, everything that we can. This poor child that was not supposed to die. I mean, he was burned, he was beaten, he was abused, he was just not fed. Anything you could think of, this child went through. Weighing 29 pounds at 5 years old. It's sad. And also, you guys, if you see something, say something. I feel neighbors, I feel anybody that knew these people that went over there, they should have said something.
Absolutely.
So I'm so happy I am able to catch a live. I am too. Thank you. One foster family I was placed with were only interested in getting paid and having a free housekeeper the rest of the time. I was in institutions until 16. I am so sorry, Six Cents. I am really sorry. I think it is AFC podcast. He says baby for benefits. And people have children to get benefits. And it's sad. If you don't want a child and if you need money, get a job like the rest of the fucking world. And if you're sincerely wanting a child to love and to, make him or her your own, then do it. But lately, I've been getting so hurt by all this because my whole mindset has changed. Like, my whole mindset has changed. Every time I look at somebody that, okay, I've never said this and my aunt will kill me, but I have another aunt that lives in a different state. I really don't know her. When I was pregnant with Jaden, who is my 12-year-old, I wasn't sure. I was young and I already had Mackenzie. I was so young and I wasn't sure that I wanted to have another child. And I don't believe in abortions. Anyways, this aunt, I think she's over in Arkansas too. She fosters children, right? And our whole family thought she was this perfect, happy family and just took in kids and took care of them. And she was on the news. I'm gonna send you the clips. She was on oh, she asked me one time, if you don't want Jaden, like, I will adopt him for you. And I was like, no, 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 no. I'm having this child. Um, Nobody is gonna take him, especially adopt him. She was trying so hard. But in the news a year ago, I wake up to phone calls and I barely know her. I don't mess with my family like that. I don't consider them family. But she has like 6 or 7 foster kids. 4 of them supposedly have some kind of mental issues going on, but the other ones are a little older. So this 14-year-old escapes from her house and runs away, finds a police officer, and is like, our water's getting shut off. They lock the fridge. We can only drink water from the toilet. There are dogs. Like, she's telling this police officer all this stuff, right? So a police officer goes to their house and she's getting money. This is how she lives. She's getting money from these kids. And so the kids come out and they are being abused by her and her sick ass husband. Wow. They had dogs all over the place, shit all over the place. They locked their fridge and they tried to lie to the police and say, oh, because one of my sons sleepwalks and he will eat the whole entire fridge. And that wasn't proven at all. There's just evil people in this world, and you never know. It could be somebody you knew. I would never, my family is crazy, but I never would have thought that. And she fosters kids. And I'm like, oh my God, what if I was young? And what if I was like, hey, you know, like talked into it, or my son would have been over there. It's just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying. A lot of these people, they only do it so they get that supplemental income. And it's sad because they'll use that money to take vacations and whatnot that they don't get the foster kids on, buy their bio kids toys and put them in the nicest clothes. Meanwhile, you've got the type of situation that you're talking about with your aunt going on, where they are locked out of the damn refrigerator because they can't even get any goddamn food and have to drink water out of the toilet. So
yeah, I'm going to send you the link later. I actually want to do a show about that because my family, they need to be called up. They need to be called out. And they deny. And, you know, my family across the road, my other aunt, she's like, oh no, those kids are just troubled. Like, your aunt would, or it's a cousin. My cousin, I think. But anyway, she's like, she would never do that, ever. And I'm like, so you're gonna believe the abuser over these children. There's a lot more children than her, and you're gonna believe, like, I wouldn't. You always have to believe the victim. Always. A victim comes out, and you have to believe it. I'm trying to find it right now because I really want to tell you who it is. I'll send you the link. So yeah, you guys, we really wanted to get his story out there. Like we said, there is not a lot, but it's enough to speak on the situation and what happened and how horrible. We don't know every single thing that they did to this poor child. We don't. And now I kind of want to research into what happened to his siblings. But I don't know. Everything was closed. I don't even think we'll have their names or anything. So maybe we'll have an update. Like, see how the family's doing. I don't know.
Well, and the sad thing is you know how they cover everything up. A lot of these records, when you go to try to find them, are sealed, and you can't get a lot of information, and that's the problem that we run into in a lot of the cases that we try to research. So.
Yeah, especially of minors. Siblings of. Before we get off, I just want to see siblings of Terrell Peterson. If you guys have any, I'm putting Peterson. Scott Peterson's popping up. Like, I don't want to know anything about Scott Peterson. If you guys want to know any stories, if you guys have any case suggestions that you want us to go over, please let us know. Okay. Terrell, no. Let's think about the mom. Okay, whatever. I'm done. But yeah, let us know. We really appreciate everybody's support. And like I said, this is my new channel, our new channel name. I hope that you guys continue the support. We love seeing you in our comment sections. We are actually about to go live very soon about a case that, or something that is happening right now, that Arctic had brought up. So after this, we will be live very shortly. Child services institutions were as bad as the abusive home. Already lost faith in family, then lost faith in society. Religion also hit the floor at the same time too. Churches aren't safe. I agree. It's you know, what these children go through, it messes up their lives. And then people wonder why there's so many addicts. Why is there so many homeless? Why is there so many just children out on these streets? They don't know any better. They've never had anyone tell them right or wrong, or they were just abused and wanted to escape the situation, met the wrong people. And they lost their faith in society, even in religion. If I was in that position, I would be asking God, because I already do sometimes. I ask God, I'm like, why? Why are good people, like innocent people, dying? I mean, I ask that to myself all the time. And it was weird because I was speaking to somebody about it the other day, and Jehovah Witness knocks on my door. And you know, I used to go to church every Sunday. I was very spiritual, and lately I've just fallen into this. Why do bad things happen to innocent good people, you know? But then just these people pop up, and they actually have a pamphlet of what I was thinking about. So I read it. So I understand how people that are in foster care and aren't treated right, they lose faith, and they lose faith in society. They lose, you know, the religion, everything. It's not okay. And my heart goes out to everybody that's been in a position where they were abused in foster care, even just at your home. And I am sincerely sorry. Arctic, do you have anything else you want to say?
Not really. I think we've covered what we have access to on this one. I am going to try to do something real quick over on my channel here in a second, because there's breaking news in the little boy that was found in the suitcase in Indiana several months back. He's been identified. His mother's up on murder charges, and it needs to be covered. So.
All right, well, send me the link. I'm going to push our live a little forward then. The one that we have coming up.
Alrighty.
So yeah, you guys, let's go over to Arctic Fox's channel. And I'm going to push the next live that we have a little up so we can go over there. And I want to know so badly about the little boy in the suitcase. Arctic, why don't you have a wrench?
I do have a wrench.
I don't see it.
Oh, I have a wrench. I assure you.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Why don't I see it?
You won't see it in the StreamYard chat. You only see it when you're in the YouTube chat.
Oh my God, I need a YouTube freaking class or something. But yeah, you guys, let's go do that. We appreciate everybody commenting. Please share. Please give our video a thumbs up. Go subscribe to Arctic Fox True Crime if you already haven't. And please say prayers for Garnett today. Garnett is not with us. She is going to the doctors, and please say a prayer for her. Can you please link that in the chat? Oh.
I haven't set the live up at all yet, Sixth Sense, or I'd drop the link in the chat, but I don't even know if it will be a live. It may just be a premiere video. But I'm definitely doing something to cover this little boy, so let me see real quick.
I want to go on with you.
Okay, well, give me a minute and see if I can get this set up right quick.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. I appreciate the ones that come in here and comment and, you know, just interact. We love that. And especially giving our videos a thumbs up. I am all about making sure people, especially on other channels, like, hey, give it a thumbs up. There's 18 people, but only 3 thumbs up. It doesn't help. And the thumbs up only makes the video go, what is that word?
Viral?
Viral, but it's a different word. It
helps the algorithm is what it helps.
Yeah, the algorithm. Yeah. So please, everybody, in all the videos you see, even if you don't watch it all, give it a thumbs up. It doesn't hurt.
Okay, give me a minute and I'll get this live set up, and that way I can drop a link into the chat.
Gotcha. Sixth Sense, is there any cases that you, even in your country, that haven't been talked about enough like they should have? Because I know you're in New Zealand. Ooh, you know what? Maybe we should do a show on like people in foster care that want to tell their stories about what they went through, or even good or bad. Like an open panel kind of thing. I think that would be awesome, because I love hearing those stories, especially good stories, you know, but also bad stories, so we could bring awareness to these foster homes that are not good at all.
Absolutely. Let's see.
And what do you guys think of my name change? Should I put it back, #criminently, or should I use this one?
I like the one that you're using right now.
I do too. I just like feel I couldn't put like dots for some reason, like in the middle. I kind of wanted like something else, but it wouldn't let me do it, like emojis. I like it. I gotta get used to it. And I don't know if a lot of people have it. I don't know if it's like really original or... Oh my gosh, heck yes. There's a couple of current cases in New Zealand at the moment at Red Bull Coffee and Crime. please let us know. Put them in the comments, like, you know, even if we're not live under this video or something. And I will definitely come back and check, and we will cover them on my community wall. I asked the other day, like, if anyone wants us to do any kind of cases that they would like to hear. That word was weird because of the threes. Can you spell it for me, please? Well, it was criminally. So instead of the E's, we just put them for 3. We just put 3 just to be more like unique. So it's CRIMEN, I don't even know. Like, the E's are 3s. So it's just criminally. Wait there, be right back. Okay. I am not going anywhere. Anywhere. And Moon, I really appreciate you coming on. I love this woman. I met her on Facebook and we just agreed with everything. It was something with like this channel that goes off on Molly Golightly and speaks like just I'm gonna send you her page because you will love it. Facts only. She's very smart. And Molly Golightly has no idea. Nobody knows who she is. And they took like a picture of her. Was it her elbow or her foot or something? And they were like trying to guess who it was. Like they were really trying to guess. Like they swear that it's without a crystal ball, but it's not without a crystal ball. Permanently copy and crime. Oh, that's good too. Permanently copy and crime. I'll have to think about that. There's a link to the live. Wait, where is it?
I dropped it in the chat. It's right above, like 2 comments above.
Oh, there it is. 6 cents. Do you see it? Because we are about to go over there. And make sure whenever we get done with the other videos we're doing, drop us some cases. I would like to. I never even look into other country cases as much as I should. Like, I would like to know about what goes on in other countries as well, you know? All right, so there is the live. There's the link. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Arctic Fox, as always, for coming on panel.
Absolutely.
I absolutely adore you and everything that you do. Yeah, and everybody have a good day. And watch out for 2 more lives coming. And we will see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.